Yeah, I'm going to attempt to show you some of the drain stuff I'm going to use. This is fusion fiber from Scenery Solutions. It's as you can see here, it's a cotton base similar to Sculptamold. This bag right here will cover 50 square feet. It's already got the glue in it, so all you do is mix it with water. You can tint it with your acrylic paint if you like. Saw this at the Oklahoma City train show a year or so ago and bought this bag, and I'll probably be using this, but I haven't tried it yet, so I'm going to try it. I've made some rock molds, and I'm going to do a little bit of scenery work here this morning. I don't normally do how-tos, but thought you might like to see how this is done. Anyway, join me as we do this. Okay, pardon me for the video setup. I'm not really set up to do demonstrations. That's why I don't normally do them. But anyway, I've got the water mixed in here. It's about a 50-50 mix they call for. Use warm water and mix your color in if you want color. You don't have to. You can always paint it afterwards. But this stuff is actually reusable, so you can mist it back with water and change something if you need to. Anyway, it calls for you to mix it at about a 50-50. You wanted to get it similar to what to an oatmeal consistency, similar to what Sculptamold is, depending on what you want to do. But you let it sit about 15 minutes after you get it mixed up to let the colors get into the fibers. It uses cotton and cellulose fibers, and then the glue mixture in with it. Get a little bit more of the fiber here. Sorry about the bowl, you really can't see in here. I use the containers I would normally be throwing away for this kind of stuff. It worked good for my plaster molds, and of course I only have to see in the top of it. Anyway, we can get this mixed up pretty good here. A little bit more fiber. And you can mix it to whatever consistency you want, of course. Now for the base that I'm putting this on, I did a cardboard lattice work for this rock work that I'm going to do today, or the scenery that I'm going to do today. I did cardboard lattice work, put on with hot glue, and then covered with dryer sheets, old dryer sheets, you know, the no static bounce dryer sheets. I thought I was going to throw some away one day from the laundry room, and I looked at them and I thought, boy, those would be perfect for doing, even if you wanted to use plaster. They're not real big is the only problem, but they're free. So, and they're fibrous, so they're going to be really strong. But this stuff's a lot lighter than plaster. Okay, here's what it looks like. You know, the light's not great. But anyway, it looks like brown oatmeal. So anyway, we'll let that sit 15 minutes and stir it again, and then I'll start applying it. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, and we're going to see what we can do with this. I've never used this before, but watching him do it at the train show, it looked pretty easy, and my feeling is it's going to be pretty easy. Just put it on and press it into your subsurface, which all you need to have is something porous. It can be cardboard, wood. I'm using these dryer sheets, which are very porous, and you just push it in, spread it around. I've never used Sculptamold either, so I don't know if it's just like Sculptamold, but from what I've seen people use, it looks like it might be. This goes on very smooth. It's kind of almost a slick feel. What they recommend is to have your ground cover ready. I don't have any ground cover purchased yet. So I'm not going to be able to show you that part, but what they recommend is put your ground cover on while this is still wet, and then mist it with some wet water, and it'll wick up the glue out of the product into your ground cover, and so you don't have to come back and glue it down and stuff. Now I'm going to have to come back, at least on this part, at some point and apply the glue, or I can come back, because this, if you use acrylic paints, they'll rehydrate, so you can use some wet water and re-wet the product and then put the ground cover on then. If I do that on this, I'll probably go ahead and put some glue back over the top of it. Just push it on. I've got a few rocks here I'm going to try putting in. And you only want to use as much, make as much as you can use up in a day. But you've got several hours to work with. It'll take 24 to 36 hours for this to dry. And even then I can rehydrate it and move it a little bit if I need to, which is one thing I liked about it. I'm going to change that camera angle, I got a feeling. This goes on very easy. As you can see, I just push it on there and spread it with my hand. And the only reason I've got gloves on is to keep the tint off my skin. Not that I would worry about it, because my hands are in the glue and stuff all the time anyway, so. But I thought it might be a little bit neater to do it this way. And these gloves are nice and slick, so it's real easy to push on. What they suggest you do is, if you've got your rocks and stuff you're ready to put in it, you wet the back of them with some wet water, just shove them into the material, let it ooze up around the sides, and then blend it in. And I don't know if you can get much simpler than that, but this is a lot less messy than plaster. Just even casting the rocks in the plaster molds to get the rocks, it was awfully messy. So this is very, very simple. Even I can do it. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there for a second and see about getting some of these rocks in. Now, I haven't painted these particular rocks yet, but I will paint them after the fact. This is all kind of a test going on here. I was supposed to spray that first, but I think that's wicking that up pretty good. The color I used, some raw, let's see, what did I use? Some burnt sienna and some raw umber, with a little bit of raw umber in it. This might have been pretty ambitious of me, tried doing this for the first time on this vertical surface instead of down on the horizontal surface, but it seems to be going on okay. This is really going to be a almost a rock cut in this area. It'll be interesting to see how well these hold into the mixture. Since this mixture is very, very soft right at the moment, I may not have enough on there to really get it to hold well. But you can kind of see, I'm hoping you can see what's going on here, and I'll get the camera around here in a minute and get a little bit better angle. My spatula here, see if I can get down in here without getting it all over everything. Like I say, this seems to work pretty well. I'm really not sure if it's going to be what I'm going to go with on most of it, but if it turns out like I think it's going to when it dries, I think this is the way I'll be going on the whole layout. And of course, like anything else that you've never tried, the more you do it, the more little techniques you come up with to figure out what works best, at least for you. And of course, what works best for you may not work best for me, and vice versa. But I was kind of anxious to show this to everybody because I don't know how many of you have seen this product before. I had never seen it before, but I was really impressed at the train show with what he was doing and able to do with it. Almost down to what I've mixed, which I want to get on here, and then I'll put some more rock in. Also, I'm not sure how much of this, once I start to edit, how much of this you're actually going to see, because I just really wanted to show you the product. It looks almost like a right now it almost looks like an old wool sweater or something, is what the texture kind of looks like. Okay, that's all of that. Let's see if we can get this big one in here. Oh, better squirt that first. Getting in too big a hurry and never get all the steps done properly. With that cardboard lattice, I can push on this pretty hard. It holds pretty well. So you can see what it looks like there. Like I say, this is kind of my test spot where I'm testing it out. But once you get some ground foliage in there, get some other materials on top of it, I think it would look really good. It's very easy to work with, that's for sure. But we'll see what it's going to turn out to be.